because the minute you start out with fear, you will always have fear. Squash that, release it, get over it. That I love Jamaica. I cannot stop loving Jamaica because Jamaica is what I know. It's where I'm from and where I choose to be in my latter part of my years. And welcome back to the video, guys. If you guys are new here, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I don't know why am I looking like this. I hope it changes, please. For anyone that's planning to move to Jamaica, this is for you. If you're a person like me that was born in Jamaica, been living in the US, and you're planning to go back to Jamaica, this is a video for you. The number one thing where a lot of people don't think about is if you're returning to Jamaica, moving to Jamaica. If you're a person that never been to Jamaica, this is probably for you too, because you need to know where you're going to live, what neighborhood, or more like what parish, what county, like we would say here in the States. Moving to Jamaica is not just a cut and dry situation, but it's easy. It's not hard. Don't let nobody tell you different. It's not hard to make up your mind and say, I want to move to another country. The most important thing is that finances, in a sense, because the fact that you have to have money to move, right? Anywhere, even if you're in the States and you're moving, you have to have money to move. So obviously you have the money to move, so you decide you're going to move. Now, where are you going to live at in Jamaica? I will suggest that you take some time and go to Jamaica maybe 1 or 2 times before if you're new. If you're returning and you haven't been there, say 15 years, but you can travel legally or go back and forth, I would suggest you go back to decide where you really want to live, because the neighborhood you came from maybe not be the same anymore, or most of the time you don't want to go back to the same neighborhood that you've been living in. So I would suggest that you go and explore your options. Finding good realtor is very hard sometimes because some of them are crooked as hell, but you can also source your own place by the Gleaner, whatever. It's not as hard as it seems, okay? Everything is not as cut and dry, but it's not hard as it might seem to some people. Think, oh, I'll go back to Jamaica, it's going to be hard to find a place. Really and truly, it's not. Dealing with people sometimes a little bit complicated. Just decide that, okay, this is a slower paced country and I have to move slower than when I'm in the States. It doesn't move as fast, but finding a place to live is not as hard as you might assume. Now, with that said, if you're gonna now say, okay, I found a place, and who am I gonna use there that will help you, you know, with whatever you need. If you're shipping your stuff, then that's a different story. If you're buying your stuff, it's multitude of places that you can use to buy places. Furniture, appliances, you could go to the downtown, you could go anywhere. And you don't have to buy all those big expensive things like everybody's saying you have to buy. No, you don't. You could find affordable things. It's still affordable in somewhat way. If you, especially when you get to Jamaica, your money is different. Yes, it does go faster. I'm gonna be honest. If you decide to live a lavish lifestyle, if you're planning to live a simple lifestyle, you're fine. The next thing I would say would be my second most important thing is getting your residency or citizenship in Jamaica, because they are sending people back regardless of what. You need to get that status. You need to get your TRN, your SSI number. You need to get those numbers in place. So if you're moving to Jamaica, you need to get your SSI number, your TRN, and some form of residency status, which is very easy. That process you can look up online. It's not as hard as it might seem. People think it's hard for someone to get their residency, but I'm talking for Jamaicans. That if you're in Jamaica, you don't have to worry about it, but you do have to get your TRN and your SSI number if you are a Jamaican citizen or a Jamaican resident, whichever way. You need those to do business in Jamaica. So if you're planning to go to Jamaica to do a business, or even just simple get around basic things like banking, anything, you need those 2 numbers. You have to have them. Your driver's license, I would suggest you get your Jamaican driver's license, because it makes everything more easier for you along the line as far as doing business. And your TRN does come on your driver's license, so that's another thing why you would need a TRN. Not only that, you won't have to carry around that card all the time because your TRN is on your driver's license. Next situation, you get up and you say, okay, I got my driver's license or whatever. Do I want public transportation? Most of the time, if you're in the rural areas, you will need your own vehicle. If you're in Kingston, I would suggest that, you kind of fluctuate. Do not assume because I could get public transportation, it's okay, because remember, Safety is first. Jamaica is not the most dangerous place in the world. People said it is, but is it really the most dangerous place in the world right now? Okay. Anyway, for me personally, I will always get a vehicle for myself. I will not get up and rent a vehicle for long. I will not get up and take taxi for long if I was you, because of simple fact that does take away a lot of money. So I would suggest that you get a vehicle. You could get an affordable vehicle. You don't have to get no big fancy nothing. You just need something to get around in, which usually if you have like 14,000 US dollars or maybe 20,000 Canadian, you could buy a vehicle. I don't know, Europe is probably less. Probably just need $700 to $800 or $900,000 to buy a vehicle if you're coming from Europe area, because their money is a little bit heavier. Remember that everything is accessible now. So if you do live in the rural area, getting from say Mandeville to town is like 45 minutes or less. Getting from Ocho Rios to Kingston, or town as I call it, is the same thing, around that or less. Maybe even lesser than that right now. Depends on your driving. As far as food is the most expensive thing I believe is in Jamaica. If you're a healthy eater, those are the things that you have to take in consideration. Living itself is expensive, but it's affordable. You still can move to Jamaica with a decent 20 to 30 grand. That's my opinion, if you decide. But there is another thing that we never look into is, do I rent, do I buy? Now, if you have the money like that, buying is no problem for you. I said that before in another video. Buying should be easy for anyone that, if you want to live there on a permanent basis. But I would suggest maybe rent for 6 months before you decide if you want to buy. If you're new and you don't know nothing about Jamaica, the neighborhood, or so forth, make sure you do your homework. Renting, be careful, because renting is something like this. If you're renting and you're from another foreign country and they feel like you have the money, they will jack that price up on you, including the realtor, because the realtors are shady sometimes. Not all of them, but I found out that most of them that I've dealt with are very shady. They're not reliable. They will have you running around in circles. And most places want 3 months, I can't even count, 3 months security, first month's rent, and last month. Most places want that, and that's hard if you're paying $150,000, which is equivalent of $1,000 US dollars. But you can find more affordable place if you do go into Manchester, Mandeville area, St. Elizabeth. I know of Ocho Rios, you still can find affordable places to live. There's still really affordable places. If you're in Kingston, I'm gonna tell you the truth, that's where it gets ticklish, because everything is expensive in town. Now, when it comes down to transportation in all those areas that I said, that's where I said you do have to have a car. I believe you have to have a car. Not necessarily you could take taxis, because maybe you don't go on the road like I do as often, so you might not need a car. But I like to just move at my own pace. If emergency, I could get in and out, stuff like that. If you're living in town, like I said again, I will reiterate that you do not have to have a vehicle, because there's a lot of available taxis and stuff. But as far as safety is concerned, as a woman, if you're a woman, if you're a man too, maybe you want to consider still getting your own car or own vehicle if you can. If you're just trying this out for 6 months and said, okay, I don't want this anymore, then you wouldn't need a car. Or you tried it for 6 months before you make your decision, you're fine. A lot of the times, making decision is the hardest thing for us, because we might want something but scared. But do not do this with fear, because the minute you do all these things with fear is a minute, why am I looking like this? I'm going to have to try to do something about it. I wouldn't suggest doing anything with fear, because the minute you start out with fear, you will always have fear. Squash that, release it, get over it. And Jamaica is a beautiful place. Jamaica is a beautiful place for anyone to move to, or anyone to live. I'm not saying run away to Jamaica because I'm from Jamaica. No. I'm moving to Jamaica because of my reasons, and everyone have a reason that's been here, relocated to Jamaica. Whoa, why am I looking so shiny? Everyone have a different reason for moving to Jamaica, or living in Jamaica, or wanting to live in Jamaica, or even different countries, islands, not people moving to Africa, because of different reasons. My reason is totally different, and I will not change the fact that I love Jamaica. I cannot stop loving Jamaica, because Jamaica is what I know. It's where I'm from, and where I choose to be in my latter part of my years. And everyone is different. Like I said, it's not for everyone, but it's for me. Think I didn't touch on the fact of finances. You do have to figure out, even though if you go with your money and stuff, you have to figure out, how am I going to maintain my life, especially if you're not rich and you don't have it like that. You got to figure out, what are my plans as far as business wise? Am I going to work for somebody? Or you could work online, you could do other things, you could work online. Your finances is important. Earning money is going to be one of your major thing if you're planning to do eventually stay for a very long time. So either you have the money, or you decide to work, or you decide to start some form of business. And like I said, if you do play those, if you're going to start a business, you're going to need your TRN, you're going to need your SSI number. It's almost like a social security number, similar, both of those numbers. They just identify you. You need a Jamaican local ID at some point, which I suggest the driver's license is the best, because it has your TRN. So does a regular ID. Does have your TRN on it. The plan to Jamaica, you're going to say, okay, you're going to stay with family member for a while before you decide to rent or buy. That's okay too, but remember, your welcome will get worn out easily. Your welcome will be worn out very easily. And why I say that is because most of the time family members want you out of their house within a week or two. So I wouldn't suggest you stay with anyone unless you're sure that you're okay with them and they're okay with you. And I wouldn't suggest you stay with them on a long term, because your welcome will be worn out, and sometimes you wind up spending more money than you anticipated. You know what I mean? So you might not want to stay with family members for a very long time if you do decide to move, or even if you're trying to figure out where you want to move to. So I suggest you may keep your stay at any family member house short. The next thing is, I would suggest you do, before, the most important thing, make sure you try your very best to keep every spending to a minimal, because when you go, spending can scare you, because if you don't really know or understand the money, it can be difficult. But people, like I said, that's from Jamaica, know how it runs. You take your time. Do not get down there and try to party hardy and thinking that you're going to get your business done while you're partying and squandering your money. Don't do it. If I was you, don't do it. The next thing is this, what a lot of us do not pay attention to is, when you're renting anything, explore options. Don't go with a set amount of money and say, okay, this is what it's going to cost me and this should be fine. No. And do not overspend getting a place, because it's always something affordable just the same out there. All you have to do is move around a bit. You know what I mean? But like I said, that's about some of the stuff I have to say. Safety is another thing, which I think a lot of people don't think about. By where you live, it's going to also help you along the way, because if you're the type of person that's a very scary person, which I hope not, you plan to move to another country being scared, don't move to Jamaica, because you cannot handle Jamaica. Some parts, if you do move to certain areas, be careful, because some people, they might not be mean you any harm, but it's just the neighborhood, the way it looks. You have to know what you're doing, and you can't just get up and be friendly with everyone, because being nice is okay. Being friendly is different. Being nice, being respectful is okay. Being friendly, meaning you bring everyone into your life, your situation, let people know what's going on with you, your business. Do not do that, because then you might have a problem. So anyway, I have some more stuff to tell y'all. I'll give it to y'all another time. I'm not going to sit here and keep on rumbling about the same thing over and over. But like I said, Jamaica is a beautiful place. Anyone that's planning to move there, make sure you have some money. Make sure you know where you're going to live. Make sure you know what kind of business you're going to do. Make sure you figure out how you're going to get around. Make sure that, most importantly, you know that you pick the right place to live so you feel safe and secure. Those are the things I'm saying. God bless. Try to figure it out. But I'm taking my time, and everyone say, oh, you talking so much about Jamaica. Why are you not there yet? I'll go back as often as I want. Sometimes I record it. Sometimes I don't. I just go back and do what I want to do and do the things that I have to do. And it's not every time I go to Jamaica I'm going to post what I've done or I'm doing, because that's not the way I work. But at the end of the day, I can tell you guys, it's not as difficult as it people might make it seem to move to Jamaica. And that's all I'm saying. It's not as difficult. It's not as difficult as people make it seem to move back home.